Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for your preview for Wolves versus Chelsea. And of course, Frank Lampard is taking over at the helm. I never thought I'd be saying that, but hey, this is where we are. Now, he had his press conference yesterday, and I must say he spoke 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times better than Graham Potter has been speaking for the last 6 or 7 months. So that was a green flag, speaking with a lot more conviction, a lot more confidence really, and just being a lot more assertive with hopefully us trying to get some good results. And we go into this Wolves game. I look forward to this Wolves game a lot more than I would have with Bruno. Of course, interim stays interim. I hope to calm down the fans, to keep everybody in some sort of order, control. Crowd control, we can call it. Have the new appointment done before the end of the season. Have the new appointment done in the next couple of weeks. Have that contract announced for next season so everybody knows what's going on, so everybody can be calm, so Lampard could stop having to answer the questions of next season. Are you trying to, play yourself into a job, etc. It's just better if we just get it all wrapped up and done so everybody can just focus on the season that we're in and doing the best that we can and finishing as high as we can finish, which is exactly what Cover came out with those quotes with Sky Sports talking about. Obviously Lampard coming back, trying to finish as high as they can finish, and obviously, we'll see what happens against Real Madrid. But I think it's going to be a 4-3-3. It's so weird now. My brain is having to almost do a 180 and go all the way back to when he was in charge previously and kind of what was he trying to implement and what was he trying to put together. Towards the end of his tenure, the way that we were trying to play was almost the circle of safety, right? If you remember in his final few weeks, the circle of safety away from home to Leicester, the middle of the pitch was vacant. It was a gaping hole and there was nobody in there trying to receive the ball in between the lines, and it just became, like I said, the circle of safety, everybody on the edge of the pitch. I don't want to see any of that. I don't want to see any of that, of course, against Wolves. I'm hoping that, we're going to see progression from that. And obviously it's a fresh. So I think there's going to be a new manager bouncing away. The players are going to be up for it. They're going to be motivated. They're going to be happy to see him on the first few days. When that honeymoon period, hopefully the honeymoon period just lasts the whole time he's here. There shouldn't really be enough time for the players to start dipping and dropping and start to move fugazi. It should be a happy period now. This last little period of the season, there's very little pressure, very little to play for apart from the Champions League, and it should just be an enjoyable end to the season in terms of vibes, and then we move to the serious season next season. So I think it's going to be a 4-3-3. Of course, we've got players missing. Aubameyang is a doubt. He was seen in training with Lampard there, some smiles. I haven't really seen any images of Aubameyang for a while, so it looks like he's at least back involved in the setup, not playing Fortnite on Twitch. Azpilicueta's out. Of course, Broja's still out. Silva's still out. So a lot more players to pick from than usual. I think it will be a 4-3-3. I'm just going to what I know. He could give us something different. He may stick with a similar setup to what we've seen in recent weeks from the previous management. But I'm just going for something bold and something fresh that he's going to come in with his 4-3-3. I think he did in that press conference allude to the fact that he's going to do things in his own way, right? He didn't obviously disrespect what Potter was doing and he understood the difficulty of the job, but he's going to do things a different way. He's going to do things in his own way. And I think that's important. We don't want to see more of the same of what we've already seen. In goal, does Mendy come back in? I mean, I did my predictions video yesterday. My kind of like the winners versus losers of what do I think, who's going to flourish and who's going to potentially fall with Lampard in charge as interim, and I went through the players on both sides. In the comments, you were questioning why Gallagher and Loftus-Cheek weren't brought up. I didn't bring up Gallagher and Loftus-Cheek because I don't think they're actually going to get bigger roles than what they got under Graham Potter. Loftus-Cheek's been starting a lot under Potter. He's played right wing back quite a bit. Gallagher has got loads of opportunities coming off the bench to close games. I don't think he's going to get more game time than he got under Graham Potter. Pulisic is one. Pulisic could be maybe revived under Lampard a little bit. It depends on if he can stay fit. His own fitness battle is his main obstacle, more so than any other manager, in my opinion. I don't think Graham Potter really got to grips with him too much just because of the amount of injuries that he was suffering. But more importantly as well, when Pulisic was here under Lampard the first time, there wasn't as many options. Pedro and Willian were on their way out, fizzling out contracts-wise. They were coming towards the end, and Callum Hudson-Odoi was still very raw, coming off the back of that injury. When you look at now what Pulisic is coming up against in terms of competition and in terms of options for Frank Lampard, it's now Sterling, it's now Felix in those areas, it's now Mudryk, Madueke, Ziyech is still here, you know, so there's a lot more wingers for Lampard to choose from, and I don't think it's so clear cut that Pulisic is going to be one of his favourites. I know Pulisic was fantastic in the lockdown, him and Giroud sparked up some fantastic form, but I don't think that Pulisic is actually one of those players that is immediately going to get a kick here. I think he has a chance if he can stay fit, but the competition is high. I think Lampard's going to definitely take a liking to Sterling. I think Sterling's going to definitely be a starter. So then there's probably only one more wide position up for grabs. And like I said, there's quite a few players contending. So I don't think Pulisic really immediately just gets a massive lift from this. But, you know, it's good for everybody. They're getting their vibes in. And, of course, they're seeing a familiar face. So for me, in terms of my starting team, I'm going to start with Mendy in goal. I think Mendy comes in for Kepa. I spoke about it in yesterday's video in terms of the performances and statistically what Kepa was doing in Lampard's first season. I think he'll be traumatized. I think he'll continue to keep that in his back pocket in terms of remembering. And like I said, the connotations of dealing with a goalkeeper that collects and handles crosses, especially against a Wolves team that can be physical. I think he's going to go with Mendy back in goal away from home. And Mendy, he's back, you know, he gets another second chance and third chance, whatever it is, he comes back into the team. And it's been a while since we've seen him. He's available. So I think Mendy comes back into the team. Now, if he's going with that 4-3-3, which I think he will, back four, Chilwell at left back. Chilwell for me will definitely start ahead of Cucurella. I think Badiashile and Fofana, it's definitely time to get that relationship cooking. Definitely time to get those two playing together. You've got a left-footed centre-back. You've got a right-sided centre-back. Both speak French. The chemistry can start there. And of course, the talent is clear. Badiashile's come in since January, been calm, composed, dominant in the air, and for me, should never really have been so easily, flippantly taken out of the team. I know Cucurella had that great performance against Dortmund, but Badiashile had done it over a longer period of time. And then Fofana against Liverpool was fantastic. The way he dealt with Nunes, he was able to change through the gears. He's very quick, very athletic, very good on the ball. I think Fofana can definitely play in that team next to Badiashile and strike up a relationship. And you can just, if you're going to stick to that four, you could just remove the other guys until obviously Silva comes back. That becomes more of a question. But I think those two, young, forward-thinking, very good players, and I think it's time to build up a chemistry. And like, you got Mendy in goal. Again, the French-speaking connection continues, obviously, from Senegal. So, and then you've got your two right back and left back in James and Chilwell. I think those go without saying. Chilwell's been much better than Cucurella in recent weeks, despite playing different positions. But going forward, we need goals, and I think Chilwell's going to give us a much better outlet on the left-hand side. And the wonderful thing about this defence is it doesn't have to be completely symmetrical. If Chilwell does really bomb forward, you don't have to fly both fullbacks forward at the same time. You can push over Badiashile to a left-side centre-back, Fofana in the middle, and Reece James can tuck in if you don't want to bomb two fullbacks forward at the same time and you want to protect a little bit because of the lack of six, which we're going to get to in the team. Zakaria, I don't think will come straight into the 11, but I think he'll be on the bench. You've got Enzo, I think Kante and Mason Mount. I think that will be his midfield three. It might line up as a Enzo and Kante in the same kind of line, and then Mount just ahead, doing those presses, you know, triggering off the ball, trying to win the ball back and try to crash the box and get some goals. Again, he's a player that last season got a lot of goals and can contribute in that area. And I think Lampard will want to try and get goals into this team. So Mason Mount, I think, will definitely play a part in that. That would be the midfield three that I think he's going to go with. Enzo, I don't like him as a six, but until we actually sign a six, he's one of those players that gets deployed in that position. Cover, not to forget him on the bench, but he got Player of the Year in Lampard's first season. There's definitely a good relationship there, I would assume. And Cover was one of those standout players that season, by far and away deserved the award. He showed his quality in that Bayern Munich beatdown where we lost emphatically in that knockout tie. He was one of the players that stood up and looked like he could actually step onto that pitch and compete with that Bayern Munich team of Gnabry and Alphonso Davies and all of these guys. So I think he'll be on the bench, but I think it'll be between those four, in particular for those places in the midfield three. And I think Zakaria will make it 5 and be that 6 off the bench to shore up games. Gallagher, the reason why, like I said earlier, I didn't mention him because I don't believe he's going to necessarily get loads more minutes than he got. But let's see. Those are my leaders in that area at the moment, especially with Kante being back fit. I think that reduces Gallagher's minutes quite a bit, especially when you know what Kante can do and what Gallagher can do, and then Kante can give you a lot more, of course. And then in the front three, I'm going to go with Felix in the false 9 or striker position. I'm going to go with Sterling on the left and Madueke on the right. Now, like I said with Pulisic before, there's a lot more competition for places. I'm going to go with these two. I think Madueke cutting in off that right hand side with his left foot and giving Reece James that overlap. That's a nice little chemistry there. to play with. You've got the dynamics there in terms of your overlapping fullback and then your winger that can cut inside, keeping things very basic, not trying to overcomplicate things. I think Pulisic, his best position, of course, when he played under Lampard is on the left, but I'm going to go over Sterling over there because of the experience. And I think now that Sterling is here, that extra competition makes it more complicated for the likes of Pulisic. And Mudryk is obviously, for me, really needing to kind of be coached and be taken to the side and improved, and then we'll see if he can get minutes as well. But I think that's what we're going to go with, and that's what I would also look to go with as well, to be honest, if we're going to play a 4-3-3. We've given a few players a kick up the arse. We've brought some people back to life and revived them from the bench. Let's see if they can come in and make an impact. But I like that team. I think Felix up top, take Kai out. His finishing was not great. Felix's finishing wasn't great either. Nobody scored. But I do believe that Felix at times really did skip past good 2-3 players and maneuver and engineer his own kind of shots and his own opportunities. And I like that in him. His little flicks, whether people want to take the mick out of them or not, they progress the play a lot faster. If you're able to play one touch and flick it around the corner, that's better than taking 3, 4, 5 touches. So let's see how he does in that striker role. He's not a traditional striker. Let's get Madueke and Sterling cutting inside and taking shots and crashing the box and linking up. It's also why I want a left footer out there to cut inside and get close to Felix and give him players to combine with. And you've got Mason Mount coming in as well from the midfield three to try and get high up the pitch and also run off of Felix a little bit and give that outlet for some goals and taking some shots. So listen, it's not perfect, but it's exciting. I am intrigued to see how the game goes. I'm looking forward to it. There's no Ruben Neves for Wolves. He is suspended. There's a couple of other players out as well. That will be across the scroll bar. But Ruben Neves, the critical key one, is suspended. And of course, in terms of Wolves, I've said it before, when you look at their team, it's not the worst team. It will be a tough battle in some areas. When you look at, Podence, when you look at Traore, when you look at potentially even, the midfield with Matisse Nunes, and when you look at, Matinho and all of these guys, there is quality in that Wolves team. So that you have to be wary of that. But I expect us to go here and try and win the game. A little bit of a new manager bounce. I'm going to go with a 2-0 Chelsea win. That's my prediction. That's my team. I think it's similar, maybe close to what Lampard's team will be. I don't think it's exactly what he's going to pick, but it's close. I think it's close. And hopefully Aubameyang maybe even on the bench just to make sure if we need a goal, then somebody's there. If Lampard feels that Aubameyang is ready mentally to contribute to this team, that will be the key. I don't think he'll question the finishing quality. I think he'll question the mentality and the commitment. If he in training is showing that he's back on side with Lampard in charge, I think he'll get him back on the bench. Not necessarily always starting, but at least an option so we can try and win some football matches. If we need a goal, etc., he could be that person to get a few winners. Until the next video, until the watch along, big up your damn selves. And there's a FIFA stream coming later on for Man versus members, so make sure you check the channel to see when that's scheduled. Until next time, in a bit, people. Peace.